Hi, it's time for good energy, and I'm Dr. Julie at Endeavor Health and Chiropractic, and today we're talking about it. Today we're talking about how that feeling in your gut when you learn more about COVID-19 is affecting your energy to heal, but I'm also going to give you some bonus good energy and how to cope with it. So let's start with the basics. What is the healing equation? Remember, the healing equation is energy to heal equals good energy in minus stressors. And that equation can be applied to a number of different areas in our life. We're just going to take 6 for right now. Mind, body, social, work, family, and passion. Now, when we learn more, as we learn more information about COVID-19, what happens, especially if you get that feeling down in your gut, is that you have just triggered, you have just triggered the animal brain. And we've talked in this live videos about the animal brain. Remember that the animal brain is that lower part of your body that takes the information in and says, all right, now what's my response? Usually triggers, if it's a panic response, it's going to trigger cortisol and it's going to trigger your sympathetic nervous system. And both of those are going to activate your organs so that they are ready to fight and flee. And your adrenaline and cortisol are going to start getting into every single cell in your body. And every single cell in your body is in alarm and in conservation mode. It's going to try to keep things in. And this is not helpful for healing. Remember that this crisis mode is taking up a lot of your energy to heal, and that panic state is not going to help your body do what it does in the opposite state, which is the chill state, where you feed and nourish and calm your body down and nourish your cells and allow them to flourish and repair. So getting into this emotional state when we think about COVID-19 and the coronavirus is not very helpful to our energy to heal. Our body needs much more energy to deal with this than it would if we were learning about it in a different way. So I want to walk you through 2 case studies, 2 cases of where this is important. The first one happened in September of 2001. I have a very good friend whose name is Angie, and Angie was a new mom in August of 2001. And I was in the office on, I think it was a Monday, and I got a phone call that said, Julie, they just crashed a plane into one of the towers in the World Trade Center. And that was the first person I heard about 9/11 from. And I panicked, was shocked, was in a shocked state, and I triggered that animal brain and it kept on going. But what I did was that I was in my office with my colleagues and we worked through it emotionally together. Unfortunately, my friend Angie was not. She just had a kid the previous month and she was isolated because of that childbirth. And so she watched the news constantly after 9/11. And she was at home, she was in isolation, her animal brain was activated, and she ended up triggering that decrease in energy due to mind. But she was also isolated because she was a new mom, so she had no social or family connection. In fact, her family were 2 to 3 hours away, so social family connection was reduced. She was a new mom, so she wasn't sleeping, so her body function was reduced. She was on leave at work, which meant she had no work connection, no work good energy in. So here was my good friend who just witnessed a tragedy, was sitting at home watching all the news and learning all of this new information, and she went into a deep postpartum depression because she didn't have good energy in any of the other areas in her life. Finally, about 6 months later, she came to me and she said, I'm done watching the news. I just can't do it anymore. And I was like, I think that's a good move. It kept her in the house. It kept her isolated. her body started to get upset. Her brain started to get upset. She couldn't process information very well. So what else can we talk about? Well, I want to talk about a patient who recently sent me an email and said, I can't come in. And I totally understood. My patient has a significant immune issue with her lungs, which means that she knows she's one of those pre-existing conditions, over 60. She went into isolation. And when she sent me the email, I said, you know what? I need you to understand that while you are isolated, you are isolating yourself from your family because she would babysit her grandkids. She's isolated herself from her work because she does babysit. She's isolating herself socially, and she's also isolating herself from the activities that she likes to do for her body. So I had to remind her that you still need to find ways to get good energy in. I said, if it's going outside and going for a walk, isolation doesn't mean that you can't get outside. And I also said, you've got to figure out snuggly, warm things to just get good energy in. Does she need to do a gentle yoga at home? Does she need to do some reading? Does she need to work on passion? Does she need to be creative? Does she need to work on things that strengthen her mind? Does she need to do Sudoku or knitting or brain games? I said, remember that while you're in isolation, a lot of your energy to heal is going to go down. So I need you to actively seek out ways of increasing good energy and make choices that help you build up even while you're in isolation. So I present those two cases because in Angie's case, it really started with that mind trigger. She watched 9/11, she was in isolation, she was getting all that negative news, and it was sucking up her energy to heal, her energy to provide support for her baby, her energy to come out of postpartum functionally. And my other patient who's just gone into isolation, I wanted to remind her that isolation doesn't necessarily mean just because she cannot be in contact with her grandkids and her family and her yoga friends, that she still has to find other ways to expand her energy. So remember that the news is going to trigger your animal brain, and that is going to take the energy to heal in your mind sector and shrink it. But you can actively step into other things to help increase your energy to heal. So remember, if you are listening to this stuff and your mind is worrying and you do get that feeling in the pit of your gut, start with the basics. Start with, where can I bring good energy in? Great place is to start with passion. Start with your creativity. A very good friend of mine sent a group of us a video of her playing her fiddle. All she was doing yesterday was, she had 20 minutes. She was just practicing on a very new song that allowed her fingers to kind of get busy, but more importantly, allowed her brain to clear out of all of this information. And not only was it good energy in for her to practice, she sent us the video, and it was good energy in for us to watch. So practice things that you are passionate about. Practice cooking. I watched a very silly video about an Italian grandmother saying, well, what would she do in isolation? She would make some pasta sauce that she would cook for 3 weeks, and it would be the best pasta sauce you'd ever had. And she says, no, I wouldn't cook it for 3 weeks. I'd cook it for my normal days, but I make lots of it. So what can you do when you're in isolation? What can you do when you're panicked about this? You can dig into your passion and your creativity. It is great energy in. You can work on your body. Just because you're panicked about something, remember, the animal brain shifts your body into panic, but you can go ahead and actively shift it out by exercising and getting into nature and moving, getting into your body, being back to being body full, being body aware, can actually start to turn off that animal brain. We can, even though maybe we're isolating ourselves, we can still have family and social connections. It is shown that even internet online connection with other people, even if it's just over email, is a great way of increasing your good energy, and because you can get connection that way. If you're at home as a family isolating, snuggles, great way. Again, we're looking for little pots of good energy in, because even if we can just get little pots in multiple places, those can help increase our overall energy to heal, can keep our overall immune system boosted, and can help us as we work through this. Obviously, we're going to trip over the mind component. All right, mind is what got us into the worried pit to begin with. I want you to practice mindfulness. I want you to practice being in the moment, seeing if you can breathe and just sit in a very calm state while you are not listening to news, while you're not reading the next item. Maybe just unplug for a little bit and be in your body. Do things that activate your mind and your body. Eat slowly. Eat for flavors. Play a game with the family and say, okay, I just made this. What kind of flavors can you taste in it? Get everybody involved in their senses. And that will help clear your mind and help clear some of this feeling that you have in your gut. For those of you who are at work, again, try to figure out ways to make work a little bit more positive. I watched a very cute video on people in China using their feet to shake hands, kicking each other. The same video about the Italian grandmother, she was saying, when you see somebody you wink. She said, don't shake hands. We shouldn't shake hands. We should wink. So find ways to make connections with people at work that are a little bit less connected, but still get you good energy in. And finally, this is flu season. We are pulling out of flu season in Iowa. And what that means is that people have had the flu. And when you have a virus of any kind, the coronavirus, the rhinovirus, the flu virus, it takes your energy, it takes your vitamin A and sucks it up in order to help heal you. So if you have already had a flu virus or a coronavirus or a cold this season, try to figure out ways to get good vitamin A veggies in, and meat. Frankly, if you're a meat eater, liver is your best source. I know, I totally get it. But liver is one of your best sources of vitamin A. So if you've already been sick this season, have some liver. And if you're not an omnivore, dig into those orange vegetables. Eat your carrots, eat your squash, eat your sweet potatoes. Just get those in, because that vitamin A is going to replenish your liver, and in replenishing your liver, it will allow you to increase your good energy in and get your immune system wired to start facing another virus. All right. I hope this has been helpful. We need to remember that even though the news is triggering our animal brain, we still have many pots of energy to increase the energy to heal, many places where we can get good energy to heal that can actually quiet that part of our brain and can keep us steady and healthy as we move into this season. I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you next week. Take care.